dear friends, my lovely audiences, welcome to the East West Show. Jack Chow is my name. I'm with the show for many, many years with lots of glory. And today is one of the show that I have good time with. I know for sure with my friend Chris Nibby. We used to joke that we're brothers by the same mother, right? And we talk about all kinds of issues. Today, I'm so happy that we brought up a issue for ecological civilization. Ecological civilization is a brand new term. At least the word, English words are not new, but the concept, as you bring it on the show though, it represents a different culture, responsible culture. So today with me is my friend, Mr. Chris Nibby, a political commentator, director of Hollywood, with a monument sky high. And don't laugh at me. The Mysterious China series, for example, that has 19 stories already, right? Okay. Now, in my eye, he's a political fighter. He's a fighter for justice for about that. So welcome to the show.
谢谢你老朋友.
And thank you for your agreement on the subject with me, and thank you for coming over early in the morning. All right. So, talking about the ecology. Ecology is a term already there, been as long as history. However, when we brought it to a ecological civilization, that pushes in a brand new concept. What? Do you agree with me, or how much do you agree with me?
This is very progressive, and it is very progressive, and it has been initiated now by China, because going green has become part of the Chinese constitution. It is part of the Chinese law that China will now legally pursue any illegal activities concerning pollution of the environment.
Water, land, air, stuff like that, right?
Everything, yeah.
Okay, that's very good, very good. And also, I believe that this concept of the ecological civilization concept is getting into people deeper and deeper in a wider and a wider range. I recall that several years ago, that was 35 years ago, when I came to Los Angeles, all right, if you happen to be driving from the east to the west on I-10, especially in the afternoon though, mid-afternoon, you will not see downtown. On a clear day, on a cloudy day whatsoever, you would never see downtown. On a clear day, probably you'll see a blur picture of downtown. You know there are buildings some building there, which is totally different from what you see now. So that you're talking about 35 years of efforts, right? So now, in China, the other day, I saw them joking around with the China fog, right? The China fog. And the pictures like the cities whatsoever. That was exactly the picture I saw 35 years ago with downtown Los Angeles. Now, the lovely part, the amazing part is that China has brought it to their subject, their agenda, to do so, to catch up. Am I right?
Right. The Chinese parliament in its last session in March wrote going green into the national constitution of China. The dynamic
going green,
yes. The dynamic socio-economic success of the rapid industrialization of China did a lot of ecological damage to the motherland's environment. China's leadership, under the leadership of President Xi Jinping, realized that the nation needed to pursue economic growth and a healthy natural environment simultaneously. So they acknowledged that the narrow concern for modernization and wealth must be at all costs was not the right way for the future of human respectively Chinese society. So now the goals for economic growth have been set below what would be possible so that it will have less negative impact on the Chinese environment.
I have questions to ask you, please. I want to learn how you assess the different positions, right? Okay, now, position number one, to take things by facts. Facts are United States, as long as industrial civilization is talking about, has been going for almost 150 years, right? If you go back all the way to the first time,
Right.
150 years. Now it has pushed the United States to a certain level.
Correct.
That we can take 35 years to clean our air so that you see Los Angeles like from San Gabriel, like that kind, right? Okay, now, back to the other model, China. China's civilization has no more than 50 years old.
Industrial
Industrial
civilization, yes.
Heavy movement,
Yeah.
right? So now, it is like people. I don't know if it is right if I give you this model. Say, if I'm hungry, super hungry, when I see food, I start eating right away,
Right.
Because my stomach, my nerve, and my whole brain all concentrates on the food I want to eat right away.
Right.
So I don't care to sit down to wash my hands, put a napkin here, and my forks, knife, lay apart, and I wait there until my waiter arrives, and they, sir, I want this, I want that, and then I started slicing them, and I paid huge attention to my manner. I never make them click, so things like that, right? So do you agree with my analysis?
I do. But it's also, you see, that
And during the early days, when the United States was very hungry, when you put the food on their table, they start eating like the way I did.
correct.
Am I right?
Yes.
Now they're not that hungry. They have time to notice whatsoever. Now the same thing happens to China.
Right.
They're okay now. They're not hungry. They're thinking about ecology. That's the word brought in. So never criticize people without looking at its history. Am I right in making a point?
Correct. But you see, in America, the going green is not part of the Constitution. In China now, going green is part of the Chinese Constitution. That's a big and important difference. And I don't think that anywhere in the world going green is part of any of the industrialized countries, nations in the world. So China has done something very unusual.
I agree. I really agree. But there are things that you have to be aware of, that the ecological issue has been there for a long time in the United States.
Correct.
We have EPA, right? We have EPA department. We have EPA system for as long as history we can recall.
Right.
So those are the facts that the United States has put some attention there. Just exactly because China has the lack of what needed to do. So they have to do some heavy duty.
Correct.
And they chose to do heavy duty. So they make it a big jump, say put it in Constitution.
Correct.
That is something I give them
We
a
should.
big hand for.
But because China is such an old culture, already millennia ago, the immortal philosopher Lao Tzu warned in his Tao Te Ching, the book of 5,000 words, do not tamper with nature because you will harm it. So in that case, philosophically and spiritually, China is, again, millennia
My dear friends, I'm so
ahead of the game.
surprised. Yeah, I was born in China, educated both ways, and all of a sudden it is my friend who has nothing to do with China quote unquote Lao Tzu. That quite surprised me. And it's not the first time you're doing so.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's take a short moment now. When we come back, we'll probably take Lao Tzu for a perspective. We'll see how we want to position ourselves, human being and Mother Nature, right? So stay with us. Hello, dear friends, lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show. Jack Chow on East West Show with Jianye TV. Today, I'm having a good time with my friend Chris Nibby, Hollywood director and political commentator. To my eye, he's rather a fighter for justice. He has been put on table many of the important issues, or those issues that are being neglected, right, by the majority of the eyes. So ecology is the thing. Not long ago, I was doing a little translation for a friend of mine talking about ecology. And the first time the word came to me, ecological civilization. And I called him right now. He says that's exactly the word that I'm on at this very moment. So together, we're doing the show today. So for the civilization, and you quote unquote Lao Tzu from 5,000 years ago. No, 5,000 years
No,
was
2,500 years
2,000
ago.
years, yeah, okay, good. So I was trying to do a little correction, but yeah, you did it yourself.
You know, but it's actually very interesting because at that time there were certainly no pollution issues.
No.
But he said, do not tamper with nature because you will harm it. And he was so right.
And nature will revenge.
Nature will revenge.
Will revenge, exactly.
But, or not, maybe not revenge, it will revenge by being harmed and it will deteriorate. And that's what happened. But it's so interesting for me that this philosopher, 2,500 years ago, addressed this issue, which now has become almost a curse of our civilization.
And even the United States is following it with or without understanding it.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's a logic there. Here's
That's
the logic, right? So you don't want to put yourself in the harm's way because you just squander whatever Mother Nature has offered you.
Correct.
No respect and no nothing.
Correct.
And then you keep digging, and you exploring until, well, you see some warning, or sometimes you do not even see some warning. Something happens, right? Okay. So I believe the action for China to put the going green in Constitution is really something to talk about.
Yeah, and it's not only that, but it's also the vigorous environmental inspection which is starting to pay dividends after the central government started to strictly enforce all illegal cases that cause pollution. Remember that you talked to me recently about the story where they were drilling holes,
yeah,
and were putting waste deep into the earth.
The wastewater injected to underground water.
Yes, that is all now vigorously.
I know, but the damage is done there.
Correct.
Okay, is the government doing anything to overturn or undo the damage?
You see, that's very problematic because the damage which has been done has been done. You cannot suck this out of the earth again because
or anybody goes to jail. To get some lessons for the rest of the folks.
Oh yeah, the Ministry of Environmental Protection puts heavy pressure on local environmental governance to curb air and water pollution, insufficient environmental infrastructure, illegal construction in nature reserves.
I know that I should know China better, but the fact that you just came back from China,
Yeah.
you know better than I do in this case.
Yeah.
I am exactly talking about those who ejected wastewater into the groundwater. Is this person or are these people going to jail?
Are being prosecuted, yes.
Okay, very good.
Yeah. they
Very
are.
good, very good.
Very violently.
I really hate them.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And you know, illegal construction in nature reserves, over exploitation of water resources, industrial pollution, and rural environmental degradation. You see, there's a big effort now also, a holistic system to tackle the environmental problems, and the government is financially supporting the implementation of environmental protection initiatives. So it's all over. It's also about agriculture. See, because
It's an overall effort.
it's
Am
an
I right?
overall effort. For example, a relative of mine was working at who is in an agricultural expert for rejuvenation of soil, fertilization and rejuvenation. And there is a very close cooperation between the German Agricultural Ministry and the Chinese Agricultural Ministry. There is delegations. He was 6 months in China teaching or sharing with the Chinese authorities how the rejuvenation of the agriculture is done in Germany.
Yeah, exactly. That exactly brings a huge subject. If you go back, like say 1,000 years, you go back 300 years, you will go back even like say 150 years before chemical fertilizers were ever invented. So it is Mother Nature taking care of it, right?
Right.
Animal waste, human waste, and corrupted, rotten weeds of plants, of crops, whatsoever, that goes back into the earth,
Yeah,
right?
horse manure,
into the soil,
animal manure.
right? Into the soil,
Yeah.
and it goes like a cycle goes on
Right.
and on. Now, when the chemical fertilizer inserted into the cycle, things are changing.
And the pesticides.
Pesticides,
You
too.
see, because before there was no pesticides, there was a natural, they had the birds and bees and others to take care of.
Ecological
Yeah.
balance, take care of it.
And because they wanted
you have
to have
worms,
more
you have
growth,
worms, you have birds.
Right.
When the birds, okay, now put it this way: you have worms, right?
Right.
Worms are the food for birds.
Right.
So give lots of population increase for birds
Right.
to come to eat
Right,
the worms.
right.
And then when there are too many birds, though, and the eagles got food,
Right.
right? And the eagles will take the birds.
Right.
It goes on.
So
and
there was a
on.
balance.
And then it goes on. And
We
on.
destroyed the balance because we wanted to have bigger corn, bigger harvests, and less damage by pests. So
By that though, it's just a side subject. I may be just asking you as a side issue. For those companies such as Monsanto, all right. So, do you have any comment about if they are pushing along with Mother Nature or against Mother Nature?
they are totally against Mother Nature. Monsanto is you see, the problem is they wanted to do right, but in the long run they did wrong.
I agree.
Because on one way, we have more people to feed. Very soon, the exploding population on Earth will exceed the limit where the Earth can feed them. And so Monsanto came in and said, okay, we destroy the pest, we employ insects, and the corn will grow faster, it will grow better, and it will look good also. You see, because apples, for example, in a store, you don't buy an apple which is not perfectly looking in the color, even though that apple is, from the nutritional value, no different than the apple which has some spots or something. But you see, we only want the perfect fruit product.
I personally can testify, can be a living testimony for this case. Me and my sister, she's 2 years younger than me, we were, during the revolution, we were put to the remote area to live a life like a dog, or less than a dog, something like that. Those were the time. The best moment was that she and I, we cultivate a little piece of land, little piece of land, that we do our own cultivation. We grow our own corns.
You see?
So we waited until you have a corn. You peel off, and then you boil it, and you chew on it, right? That taste, even these days, I still remember. I have been looking for rejuvenate that taste ever since.
And you don't find it.
Never have I succeeded. Every time when I see a corn, kind of a peddler, I will start asking for a little like this. No, not a way. Okay, it was not until recently a package came from people of that area say, "Hey, Jack, these are the land, the very piece of land, without the fertilizer, without the pesticide, without nothing." Well, we'll taste it. The taste is back. So this is exactly what we're talking about.
Yes, but you see, not only that, that was also healthier food, because the pesticides are in the product, in the produce.
Yes.
So it goes in your body. So basically, I would say that our generation is initially probably more healthy or less polluted, our bodies,
Then the youngsters
than
here.
the youngsters nowadays.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
now, and you see, now we're going back to organic because we realized, I mean, the good thing is about humanity, that humanity goes to an extreme.
And I heard a report about girls at 9. At 9,
Yes.
experienced her first menstrual type. At age 9.
At age 9.
9.
You
9
see?
in your way is this.
Yes.
In the Chinese way is this.
Yes.
Age 9.
Age 9.
Age 9, like this.
Yeah,
right. So
had her what?
started the menstrual type for the first time.
At 9.
9.
It used to be like 14 or 12. Or
12, 13, 14.
Yeah.
Right. Minimum 12
Yeah. So-
or all the way up to 16 something. Right.
So you see, the organic, that's why this organic movement has come in, and which is now very strong and very expensive. Because because the apples don't look that good, but they taste the same and better.
All right. Okay, my dear friends, today we're really talking about some issue that is of politics. However, once you dig into it, it is, I would say, the most important of politics.
It is.
No politics goes ever on top because it's about your life, your generation, your kids, your whole, so on and so forth. And probably you live or die. It is just so serious like that. So, ecological civilization is happening in China. We give Chinese government big hands for doing that. And it is time they can slow down, to look around, to look back into what they do. Oh yes, we need to do this, we need to do that. And by putting going green into their constitution is really quite a big move that no country others could even, well, think of it. So China did it. I'm proud of it. And today with me is my friend Chris Nibby. We will plowing on to find out more what else we can do, what else needs to be done in this whole area, or whatever issue needs to be developed, needs to be even further talked about in this whole area. Stay with us, please. Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to the Jack Xiao East West Show with the GNE TV. Mr. Chris Nibby, my dear friend, my brother of the same mother, is with me talking about the big subject that China going ecological civilization, going green, putting going green into their constitution, for which I give both hands for. If I had three, I would do three. Right. So, back to the issue though, you're talking about the body, right? Our system, especially our immune system, versus all the kind of fertilization and pesticides and the what is it? What they call the gender change? No. Modified. The modified food.
Yeah. Processed food.
Processed or modified
food.
Modified food.
Yeah.
Right. So
GMO. You're talking
about. GMO. Genetic modified food.
Genetically modified food. That's another thing in order to increase the results of the harvest. Mm-hmm. But you see, all this is against the normal cycle of nature.
Again, I can testify. During my childhood, all my life, my best fruit, I call fruit, right, is tomato.
Yeah.
It's tomato. Because I like the sweet sourness, right? And the sourness and the sweetness are so sharp. When you talk about it, you'll feel water in the mouth, like that kind of thing. Now, I never touch it. It never has the taste.
Absolutely correct.
Especially the small ones.
Yeah, absolutely correct.
Especially the small ones. You don't taste it.
No taste at all.
No taste at all.
Yeah.
So, during early days when in China, we were poor though. Well, we are not eating on a chicken a day basis. But now you can live on a chicken a meal basis, right? So, and only women were, given birth or giving birth to babies. They have they call the recovery 1 month, right? During that period, they probably will provide her a chicken or two, the rich families. So when you pass by the house, you smell it right away. What you say? You don't say chicken. You say somebody has a baby.
Yeah.
Somebody has a baby like that. Now chicken is everywhere. You don't smell chicken. You don't taste chicken.
No,
so
not
that's
at
the
all.
problem.
You're absolutely right.
What are we going to do, please, my brother?
We are doing by going organic. That's one step. But of course, you see, the earth also has been mistreated for so many years with chemicals and all that. So this is another issue which scientists and agricultural experts are trying to find out. But you see, it's a very vicious circle because we are having a population explosion. We have already, I think, about 7 billion people on Earth, and we expect it by 2050 it should be 10 million, and that's supposed to be the end of the ability to feed them. So, I think we have to return to rapid birth control one way and to rejuvenate the earth. See, there is another problem in China which also has been very, very vigorously been taken care of by China already for the last 50 years, and that's reforestation. You see, the farmers before, they were using wood burning for cooking and all this, so they were cutting the forest, and there was no programs for replantation. So you see, there's another issue which is very interesting in China. The reforestation programs, they are not new. They have been intensified over the years because, for example, the farmers in the old days used to cut the wood, but they didn't replant the forests. Or also in the desert regions, there were the winds blowing and nobody knew how to stop the sand flow. So the government started to implement very strong reforestation programs. 90% of the trees died. But they did it again and again and again. And now, for example, in Beijing, you know, that was threatened 30, 40 years ago. It was threatened by sandstorms all the time. No more, because in the deserts in Mongol and Hebei province have been tamed, in Xinjiang. And it's actually very touching for me when I was filming in Shanghai. In Shanghai, when I saw the farmers going up the mountains with water and watering the little sprouting trees.
Tree by tree.
Tree by tree, day by day.
In the hard way.
Yeah. So now you see the results in previously barren and mountains and desert strips, especially deserts, because you know the people don't realize China has a lot of deserts.
To be honest with you, last week I came across a picture, a satellite picture, that you can adjust the distance. Say 10 kilometers above Earth, or 100 kilometers above Earth, or 150 or 300, right? Okay, now, what you see, for example, at 100 kilometers, you're looking at the Earth, the whole China area is in the center of a green. Whereas, by the same distance, though, you see Japan as an island of green. You see South Korea as half of the peninsula green, I mean. Green, right? You see major part of Europe, right? Huge green, forestly green.
Yes.
Whereas here in China, you see a green land, green land. So it is high time China does something, and I'm excited that China is doing something now.
Oh yeah, it has been.
Otherwise, it's too late.
It has been doing, and this has been going on for a long time. The reforestation programs, but they're being now intensified because it's a need, and
now they legalize it.
Yeah.
If you cut down trees illegally, you
right now
you
they
either get a fine or go to jail for it.
Yeah, right.
And also animal hunting.
Yeah.
Animal hunting.
So everything is becoming, but you know, you must also understand, as a country is still China is still a developing nation. And there are many, many problems which the country is facing. So these are now being problems addressed one by one.
Stop right there.
Yeah.
You just happen to touch a very, very big subject, all right? On one hand, China is a very advanced country.
Right.
Okay. On the other, China is a very developing country.
Correct.
Sometimes even underdeveloped.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the problem is that it is not everybody that has realized the contradiction between the two definitions.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes the biggest tragedy is that they themselves do not recognize the definition, right? Some may think in an expanded way, say, hey, we're strong, we're so big, we're so forth. And some are so kind of like pessimistic, say, hey, we're good. Neither way is correct. They have to do it, like you said. After all, it's a developing country. It is a advanced country in the developing stage. How about that?
Correct.
Right? So that's fair. And for that, if you take China with a position like this, and you check with the going green being written into
the
Constitution, that will balance the whole thing.
Correct.
And then the going for reforestation,
yes,
right? And the rejuvenation, rejuvenization of land.
That's it, and rejuvenation and protection of wetlands. You see, wetlands are the kidneys of the earth. They're very important. And there is a very, very strong effort all over China to rejuvenate wetlands and protect them, and also because they are habitats for birds, migrating birds. And there are so many other efforts, like overgrazing. You see, before in Tibet, for example, the herders had, let's say, 10 sheep. Now, because it's free for all, they are allowed to have as many as they have 100. So there is an overgrazing. It's a big problem because the grass, the soil is very thin. So the overgrazing results in desert, in the land becoming a desert. So the government now says this area you cannot graze for a couple of years. We have to rejuvenate the area. Yeah. So all these things, or like, for example, oceans.
That's why last time in Xi'an,
yeah,
we were driving to the suburban parts of Xi'an. We see lots of signs say the reserve the wetland, reserve the wetland, or wetland reservation.
Yeah.
In both English and Chinese.
Yeah. That's, by the way, I like that in China that you have both in English and Chinese because it's
even though the English was not perfect, but sometimes it tells.
It's very helpful for the Laowai to see what's happening, where they're going.
Okay, my dear friends, today is one of the moment we touch a real subject. The real subject being that as a human race, we the people, the human race versus Mother Nature, right? So we're recognizing China for their ecological civilization, which is being noticed by their people worldwide. And of course, the United States has lots of technologies in this area about water purification, about air purification, even land purification. And a few days ago, we were talking about the U.S.-China, the trade war, or trade conflict, trade argument, so on and so forth. Well, this is the area we're talking about. We can open to China and let them do, hey, this is the way we use to clarify our water, right? This is the way to do with the air, something like that. They can start exchange or even buy, right? That's another area. Okay, let's take a short moment now. When we come back, we will continue to see a global picture about how the global Earth, the planet, has been polluted, and that's really a pain in the rear. Excuse me for that, but it's a fact. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Hello, dear friends, lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show. Jack Chow on the East West Show with GNE TV. With me today is my friend, Mr. Chris Nibby, Director Chris Nibby of Hollywood, and a think tank of a person, and archivist, and a fighter for justice. I love a lot. Welcome back to the show. Right. Okay. Talking about pollution, talking about environmental damage. Lots of time people focus to extend their focus to the water, right? We just mentioned about the wastewater, heavily polluted, chemically wasted water being injected into the ground, right, underground, and that water has leaked into the ocean already. Some even traceable in the middle part of Atlantic. So that's serious.
Pacific too.
Very serious. Pacific first, and then the other way going to Atlantic. Okay, now, on Pacific Ocean, you heard about a big land or big island of plastics?
Plastic island, the size of France.
The size of France.
The size of France is an plastic which is being sort of drifting together by currents, and it's there, and it's one big garbage dump. and you can't take it away.
Is France bigger than Taiwan, or Taiwan is bigger than France?
France is bigger than Taiwan.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So you see, another very interesting thing is what China is trying, because it has so much ocean shores, it's also trying to create sustainable ocean fishery. For example, in the East China Sea, they're trying to prohibit certain fish from being caught, and that has resulted that certain types of fish which were going, which became not extinct, but which was very small, have been now refreshed and are regaining in population. Another interesting thing is we spoke about the agriculture, rejuvenation, and organic sustainable agriculture, which is now very popular in China as well. So they're having they're experimenting with eco-villages, where the whole village is
eco-village.
Eco-villages, yes. That's a very particular Chinese concept, where the whole village is now being sort of remodeled into an ecosystem. Another thing
in the original way.
Yes. Another thing is green architecture. Green architecture is providing healthy, comfortable, and highly energy efficient housing. So new buildings in China are built very much under the aspect of how can we save energy, how can we make them comfortable, but at the same time save energy, because energy has to be produced, and there is the photovoltaic power.
And they're going solar power, I know.
Very powerful.
They're going solar power in a big deal, I know.
It's the biggest. China has a government program called Golden Sun incentives. And China has become the world's largest manufacturer of solar panels. And
solar panels are being exported to the United States.
And China is a leader in solar technology. Rooftop solar water heaters have become standard in modern China. You see them everywhere. So the National Development Plan and Commission of Science and Technology estimates that by year 2020, 50% of all automobiles in China will be electric.
Within a year and a half?
Yes.
Within a year and a half?
Yes.
50% of the automobiles in China?
It's an estimate, yeah. It's very progressive.
No,
BYD...
That's too much a push for in the project, for a target.
Maybe it's too high, but
for a year
BYD,
and a half.
You know BYD and Shenzhen.
They have a branch, branch office, branch manufacturer in Antelope Valley.
Yeah, a showcase of Chinese automobile manufacturing is leading the production of electric cars. The Chinese state grid is constantly expanding the electric charging stations for cars. So I mean, there is a lot of activity going on, and everything is geared to how can we improve improve and heal the environment which we have been destroying for a while because we had other priorities. But now this has become a top priority. You talked about water. Water conservation and recycling is one of the major concerns within China. And they're developing particular desalination technology because they have such an extensive coastline that it makes a lot of sense to give desalination of water a priority. So, everybody knows about the Three Gorges, which is a marvelous achievement of creating hydropower.
No, I don't think so. I don't think
The
so.
hydropower is monumental.
It causes the big ecological problems rather than its economical merits.
Who says so?
I say so. Everybody says so.
Everybody. My information is different.
On my record, you're talking about millions of people being immigrated to other areas.
That is
and
correct.
talking about you lost lots of species, and talking about the water level rising for 100-something meters high.
Correct.
You're kind of like flooding all the areas, all right?
But it
and
is
then you're talking about the gorge itself cannot hold that much of a water weight. And then you're talking about all the, from the upper stream, the mud, the sand and the mud got suffocated, got settled at the bottom, and the bottom raising higher and higher. You have to go dig them on a day-to-day basis. Oh, no. Water going down. There's a lots of comment on that issue. Even the central government is now hesitating. Are we keeping it? Are we blowing it?
Because, but on the other hand, it creates an immense amount of energy.
Yeah,
Immense.
It does.
And
But to maintain that, you have to pay extra amount of money for the system, right? So,
but then I don't understand, because one thing is a fact that currently China is constructing more hydropower plants than any other country in the world.
that I agree.
Everywhere.
That I agree. Okay, hydro plant, that I agree.
So
only on this one, the controversy is so big, and almost like they're kind of like an impasse.
I was there. I filmed it. It's a very well established.
Yeah, you could film you could have filmed it for a beautiful view. That's not a problem.
Not only the view, but the way the whole system works. And yes, there are baggers dredging out silt. That's true, but I didn't know that this was such a problem. I didn't know.
It was all right. Okay, my dear friends, we're a little over time. You want to wrap up a little bit? I'll give you 30 minutes. Well, the 30 seconds.
The wind power. Wind power has become a key growth component of Chinese economy, having increased more than 100%
That I agree.
in the past decade.
The Yellow Plateau
Yeah.
has a strong wind for all year round.
Right.
Those are the areas. If you want to turn the wind into power, though,
That's
the resources are endless.
Yes. The development of wind energy in China in terms of scale and expansion is absolutely unparalleled in the world.
All right. Okay, my dear brothers, sisters, my dear audiences, we're over time. I have to cut off, but it is very positive to recognize, to look back into China, to recognize what they have done so far. I'm giving them a big hand. Congratulations for China, for my lovely birthplace, to be developing that fast, to have done such positive stuff. Of course, there are controversies about certain issues, for example, the three gorges whatsoever, and I'm not arguing with the fact. I'm just bringing the fact to the table for discussion. All right. So with my friend Chris Libby, we have done another beautiful show, and I hope you like it. We'll see you next time.